What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the channel. Always happy to see you guys here, and welcome to my review of The Amateur. This is something else that I was definitely looking forward to. I was definitely intrigued by. As soon as I saw the ads and the trailers, I was definitely hooked. I love me a good revenge type story, and I say that loosely, which I'll get into here later. So what you have here is a guy named Charlie Heller, who's this CIA cryptographer, is basically an analyst who loses his wife during a London terrorist attack. After his bosses refuse to help him, however, due to conflict of interest, Charlie sets out his own brand of justice. Like I said, I was really looking forward to this. It's on my most anticipated films of 2025. But was this really what I would hoped it would be? Or was this just another bust? Starting off the positives of The Amateur, I do gotta say, Rami Malek, I thought he was pretty good here. I thought he brought his A game. There's not much of his that I've seen. The last thing I've seen of him was No Time to Die, the last James Bond movie. I don't really see that much of him, but what I've seen, especially here, I enjoyed. Here, he plays a character to where the film does a pretty good job to where you feel sympathy for him. You know, after he loses his wife, there's plenty of moments where he grips you, and it just takes you into his world and his loss and his pain. And I thought he did a really good job. I thought he did a really good job at utilizing just how much he was going through. And again, I thought he brought his A game, and I thought he did a really good job at that. It's just one of those characters that really made you feel for him, and just the overall loss that he suffered. And for a film like this, it's really good to have, especially for a character that you're trying to build up, such as Rami Malek's character in The Amateur. And I thought they did a really good job at really utilizing that portion of his character, and it really made it worthwhile. I also thought the film did a really good job at its message. There's this trait to Rami Malek's character to where they lean into the type of character that this guy is. He's a loving husband who lost the love of his life, but he's also one of those shy guys, sort of keeps to himself, you know, just kind of out of the way, and he kind of sticks out as one of those, you know, guys that doesn't really do much, and he just sticks to himself. He has his own little bubble. And that's kind of how the film kind of describes him, especially with the traits and his personality. He's just one of those guys. And they lean into that in such a way to where they have these segments to where he's talking to Laurence Fishburne's character, to where Laurence Fishburne tells him that he's not a killer, it's not in him, no matter how many times, how much I teach you, that's just not something you can teach some people, and that's a gift, and this and that. And I thought that was a really sound message, and it really spoke volume to the type of character this guy is and to the characterization itself. I know I didn't say that right, but anyway, you know what I mean. But still, for film, it's really good to have just that portion, and to write a character such as that with all those details and all that extra dialogue that kind of characterizes that character within itself. And I thought it did a really good job. It's something that every film needs in order for you to really care for this guy and follow him the whole entire 2 hours of the running time. And that's really good to do. That's what makes a film great. And I thought they did a really good job in that trait, in that portion, especially with his character.
Take it. Take it. Aye. Point it at my chest. Do it now. Put your finger on the trigger. You can't do what I do no matter how much I train you. You're just not a killer, Charlie.
Rami Malek, he really pulled that off. And I thought the film did a really good job at really bringing that character home, and did a really good job at utilizing that, especially that. And of course, I mentioned Laurence Fishburne earlier. I've got to mention him, even though he was just a side character, and that's why I don't think many people will mention him in their reviews. I might be wrong, but I only am mentioning him because he was Morpheus in The Matrix. Of course, I'm going to mention him. Plus, he's a good actor. And I thought he did a really good job here. He played the trainer for Malek's character / assassin later on, and I thought he did a really good job. I thought he brought a certain flavor to the film that I really enjoyed. Again, I'm not trying to be biased, because he was Morpheus. I'm just saying he's a good actor, and that's just my opinion. I won't rant on too much about him, but he was pretty cool. It had to be said. Moving on to my negatives, and I have 3. And all 3 of these, well, mainly 2 of them, but the 3 of these negatives are really more of a reflection of me, and it's more of a me thing. But I thought they spent way too long, way too much on the whole espionage side of things. I felt like that sort of overstayed its welcome. It's sort of overplayed its hand. Again, this is a me thing, and it may be my fault because I was expecting too much, but watching the trailers, and this is something else within itself, I felt like because of that, the revenge side sort of took a back seat in some spots, and it sort of started feeling more of like an espionage drama type, even though it's labeled as an action spy thriller. It's mainly more thriller than anything else. Don't get me wrong, I still enjoyed it, but it's one of those that kind of had me just a little bit disappointed because, as I had mentioned before, I enjoy a good revenge type story, but it didn't really seem like the revenge part played a big part in this, and that was kind of a letdown. I kind of wish that had more to do with this, but it really didn't. It focused more on this guy go around these foreign countries like Russia and London and Spain and all them, and just trying to find these people. Yes, there was action sequences here and there, but the reason why I didn't really mention those because there's not enough for those to even worth mention. I mean, the ones that played was decent enough, but there wasn't enough of it. And again, that just sort of disappointed me. I wish there was a little bit more of that. Now, I fully admit that knowing the type of person and knowing the type of character Rami Malek was in this film should have been a little bit of a red flag. I was not to expect anything like Sylvester Stallone or Bruce Willis or Chuck Norris or even Jason Statham style. He's just a regular guy trying to get justice for his deceased wife. Now, I fully acknowledge that. And don't get me wrong, like I said earlier in this review, I enjoyed that character trait about him. And it was just a good way for a character build up and just the narrative for his character. Of him not being a killer and just not in his DNA. I enjoyed that aspect of this character. But that should have been a little bit of a red flag. But still, I was hoping for more of a mechanic resurrection route to where he would make bombs and devices MacGyver style to take these people out. And in the trailer, like the one scene with the glass pool and the guy being in it on the top of that building, there's a scene in Mechanic Resurrection where it depicted something similar to that. So whenever I saw that in this, it just deceived me just a little bit. While still acknowledging the type of film this is, I just wish it had more of that, of him taking these people out forcefully, at least, even if it's MacGyver style. I mean, we've already established the kind of character he is. We already established that he cannot pull a gun and be a killer. But there are also other ways for him to do that while keeping it interesting, and that just wasn't really shown here. Again, it just focused more on the espionage side of things than anything else. It was just a little disappointing. It was just a disappointing factor. And again, that might be all on me. And I also admit, I enjoy a good espionage film here and there. But when the concept is based around revenge, and you don't really use it, that's not good. And I fully acknowledge that that's not the type of film that they were going for. Again, all a me thing, but it just has to be said. I really was expecting a little bit more on that side, and again, I said this in the last review, the marketing, it really screws you up sometimes, and it just seems like sometimes these marketing people just don't know how to market. Because watching the trailer for this, they show all the best parts, and then that's it. It's like sort of ruins it for you. And I feel like that's what trailers are doing more and more, which is a shame. But point being, I felt like this should have benefited a little bit more action instead of just having it kind of slow and sluggish. And that's kind of how it felt. But I wanted more of that spice. I wanted more of that flavor. And because of that, the rewatch value just ain't gonna be that much. I don't really see myself revisiting this. It's not gonna be one of those that's gonna be cherished in my book. Again, that's not speaking out against the film entirely. It still had its moments, but it's just not gonna be one of those that I'm just gonna feel like popping in one day. It's probably gonna be a while. The only way I would probably watch it is if it streams and I'm watching it with somebody that wants to see it. I will never probably watch it on my own merit. Bottom line, it's never going to be one of those high-profile films that I'll feel the need to immediately go back to probably ever again. It's not one of those that as soon as I'll find out whether it's released on 4K disc or streaming that I'll feel the need to immediately go out and purchase it. It's just not one of those. It's solid, but it's not one of those that I'll probably ever go back to at all. Again, despite that, the film still had its moments. I still enjoyed portions of it. It just wasn't as much as I would hoped. It was fine for what it was. It just wasn't for me. So much so that it's okay to just stream it. So The Amateur, what was your thoughts on this? Have you had a chance to go out and see this? If so, what did you think? Was this your favorite espionage film? Are you a fan of espionage films at all? Or was this just another letdown? Like me, were you just expecting more? Just expecting a little bit more oomph, a little bit more spice, a little bit more action? Leave me your comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, as always, for clicking here and watching this. I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Make sure to click that bell icon so you won't miss a thing. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.